This is an Adventures in Middle-earth actual play using fantasy grounds. You can find session summaries, items and characters on World Anvil, where our campaign is called In the Shadow of the Mountains. You can cross-reference this episode as Episode 4, Judgment at the Carrick. You'll find links to that and our other forms of media for our sessions, as well as an index of this episode in the description. Previously on. Having found the fugitive Oderic living with an army of brigands in Wolfswood, the Fellowship are now fleeing with him and some hoodwinked bandits towards Stonyford and ultimately to Beorn's house to warn them of the nest of vipers on their doorstep.
So, with some fine role-playing, guys, you managed to talk Oderic down so he didn't feel kind of fully double-crossed by the bandits that brought him over here.
Double-cross.
False pretenses. But during your questioning, you were disrupted by a flash of colour in the woods, and then Farron, you saw overhearing you, known as a really, really good tracker in the bandit group, and he haired off. You managed to stick him with an arrow, I think Sigmar did, and then he kind of just disappeared from view. And he's kind of off and running. You've got hours. If you remember, you were 2 or 3 hours from the bandit camp, so yeah, you have some time. And as you look at, you're about to kind of pack up and head out, I seem to remember, but you look at Oderic and he kind of looks kind of pale and really worried.
I suggest we get moving and we can maybe talk to him about what's specifically worrying him as we're going along, rather than stand here and waste half an hour of time.
I'll just share the main map with you guys again, for those of you who haven't got it open.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the West Anduin Vales. The Wolfswood is just above Gladden Fields in the River Gladden. There's a yellow icon on there where you are. Yeah. Where are you actually going back to?
Ultimately, it's the Carrick, isn't it? But there was the single coracle-type boat that we tied up by a riverbank, but as a fair way off, which we got from the village of Stonyford, didn't we? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, we're heading for Carrick. The question is that at some point they will presumably intercept us.
Yeah, a good idea was to try and get that coracle, get straight across the river.
Yes, that will give us a bit of advantage, wouldn't it?
Okay. Yeah, because the only other option is the old ford. So you're about a day from, a bit further than a day from Stonyford, maybe 2 and a bit.
But we'll be moving a lot faster, hopefully, because instead of looking for trails and being stealthy, we will just be heading for sort of pretty much a known place.
Okay, so the plan is to head backtrack to the boat. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I reckon
so I'll have you make some just a kind of check, because it's pretty brutal weather. It's sleety. It's not nice. Should be able to get there okay, but you've got a grumpy teenager now with you as well, and 3 bandits too. So, but is there anything else you want to talk to Oderic about? He's looking as you kind of head out. So my recollection of the last time you started questioning him, kind of started bringing him around to almost like feeling guilty for his actions. He was very concerned that he was just going to get killed if he got taken to the Carrick. But eventually you kind of talked him into seeing if he ever wants to be accepted by the Beornings again, he's going to need to face judgment there. Mm-hmm. And he kind of, after being finally convinced by you, kind of begrudgingly accepted that. So that was kind of where you got to. You didn't really ask him much else other than about that.
It was also his chance to be get a life with Brynhilde or Brynhilde.
Yeah.
And he will be in some way a hero or well received for bringing inside information from the contents of that bandit camp that is presumably unknown. So, that's a bonus point if he does the right thing, realises it's something that Carrick needs to know about, Beorn needs to know about, and brings inside information about that camp.
Okay, so you're trudging on. He's looking glum, and he kind of keeps looking over his shoulder, and he's looking mainly at Amalfreda as a Beorning. So he's a Beorning, and he's got a bit of a frown on his face when he looks up at her, but he's not saying anything.
Okay, I've got nothing to say to him. I'm more concerned about the pursuit, I think. Can I just hang a little bit back behind the others, maybe 100 yards, 200 yards, just to see if I can hear if anything or see if anything is following us, please, John?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to so give me a stealth check in the tower, just because I'm assuming you're trying to kind of hide from view and stuff. Okay, so just give me a stealth check in the tower. Okay, good. So, I mean, the rest of you, as Amalfreda drops back, you kind of lose sight of her and sound of her. She kind of blends into the surroundings. It's broken low hills and dales. Basically, you're heading through. Rain and sleet coming down, pretty poor visibility, so it's ideal for hiding. Okay, so you're pretty well hidden, Amalfreda. Give me a perception check to see if you can see signs of pursuit. Yeah, I mean, you spend you kind of let them get probably a quarter mile ahead, find a location to hole up, and just watch. No one and nothing follows you after maybe 15 minutes, and you have seen no signs of pursuit. So you think that the trapper was operating alone.
Yes, presumably he would have to go back to the base, tell them what he's seen, let them put 2 and 2 together, and then they come out from the base to where we were and then follow our trail onwards, which he'd probably be easily able to do. But presumably we've got a reasonable bit of time.
Yeah.
Can I ask? I'll ask mainly the bandits. Do they have many horses? Are there lots of horse-bound people that will pursue us, or will they pursue us on foot? Does he think, or do they think?
He kind of looks a bit resigned, and he says, "I don't even know if they'll bother pursuing."
Okay, because why do you think they won't bother? What's she thinking?
He kind of just shrugs his shoulders.
So do I feel that he's in a bit of a pit of despair as well then?
Give me an insight check in the tower.
Insight's not my strongest suit. Never mind. He's worried about the price of cheese.
It seems clear to you that he is like internally wrestling with something, and he's just keeping quiet, not talking to you about it. Something that's probably on his mind.
I'll say to him, "What's troubling you, my friend?"
He's kind of trudging with his head down. He says, I think you've probably right that I was between a rock and a hard place, and the bandits actually weren't my friends, despite treating me well. And thinking about it, Walter was only probably treating me well because he really wanted information from me. I think I may have told him a whole load of things that
a little bit too much,
going to be really dangerous for the Beornings.
Well, what's the best thing we can do now? Is presumably to warn the Beornings, so they know what the threat or danger they're facing is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very real that Walter was actively making plans to attack the Beornings.
You reckon Stonyford?
Yeah, little settlements or more.
Well, yeah, just heading north, and I'm not sure where his first attacks are going to be, but I just don't know.
Well, that's done now, isn't it, in terms of what you have said or haven't said? We need to try and rectify the situation and make the best of it for the Beornings.
Well, if he attacked Stonyford now, I mean, if you look at the map, it's only 2 days away.
Yeah.
They could probably be there in 3 days.
Yep.
It would take you 5 to get to Beorn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a dilemma you've got, if what he's saying is real.
Yeah.
Well, how many spears does he have? How many soldiers, men, fighting men and women?
He's almost looking like a kind of rabbit in the headlights. He's enough to destroy Stonyford and villages up the Anduin, to be honest.
Right, there's not much point us staying at Stonyford and trying to defend it. Might as well give them a warning and just keep going.
Yeah, clear them north, I guess. Alternate Scarpa, head for the hills.
Aye.
Let's get there as quickly as we can then.
What I might be able to do is talk to Walter, Oderic suggests.
What difference do you think that? I think he's a strong king in the making with plans for expansion and dominion, so I don't see how you will be able to change his mind or dissuade him.
Oh, I won't be able to dissuade him. I might be able to delay him enough for Beorn to send reinforcements south.
I think you just be killing yourself, because he'll have many more people. He'll not just fight you one-on-one. He'll probably just shoot you through hours and carry on going.
No, I'm thinking we've got to say Farron knows what's happened here. If we can find Farron before he gets back to tell them, and then me and these guys could just walk back to camp. They won't know what's happened here. He's really looking as if he really doesn't want to do that. But you do think you made an impression on him with your earnestness about his doing the right thing.
Do I get the feeling he is slightly in the sort of the pits of a suicidal gesture to almost try and make things better, but go down with a good name in history kind of resignedness to him?
Yeah, there's a bit of that, but also
sort of a Captain Oates or whatever it is in terms of.
You got a great insight, right? I mean, you actually also think that there is something about that. This is his chance to prove that he is the hero he's always thought he's been. A little bit. It is dangerous, as you said, and it will require. I mean, if Farron gets back, and he's a fast tracker, if he gets back,
we're heading in the other direction,
and you're heading in the other direction. So he's got like a half-hour head start on you, maybe a bit more than that, an hour head start on you at the moment. So it's risky, but it's unless you guys. So he basically thinks either we've got to try and, well, you said this, try and tell Stonyford to evacuate, and then basically any village west or east of the Anduin going north up to Beorn's, warn them about the same thing, or delay Valter because it sounded quite imminent, his attack.
And he sounded quite imminent. Does that mean they're right at the plans and pulling the trigger, so to speak, or just because?
Yeah, I mean it's days away. So clearly, if Farron gets back, that might influence either bringing it forwards or delaying Valter's plans. Telling you that
you might think if the scout says, "Do you know what? That guy who's been giving you all this information on these very weak, flimsy Beorning defences, we've just seen him meeting with some Beornings and Woodmans, and now he's gone." He might think, "Curses! I've been double-crossed. I've been sold fake information, and I've been fed a load of bunkum." So he may actually cause him to reevaluate what he thought was his knowledge of the situation, rather than to speed it up. Especially if we're only talking about tiny little holdings and homesteads.
Possibly, yeah.
You might think that was a spy, and now they've extracted their spy. Well, what's going on? Maybe that's my paranoia. Maybe that's what I would do.
Well, I mean, talk to the crew about it and see kind of if you've got a specific plan. But if he's right that this is like an imminent attack, and you don't know where that's going to be, you're essentially, you as a group will be spread too thin. Okay, you can go back to Stonyford, but there's other settlements up and down the Anduin populated by Beornings. I guess he could attack any one of those. You may be lucky, he may attack Stonyford, but.
And how does Oderic think he can stop Valter? By words or by?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not going to be able to challenge him, but I could say that. Yeah, this may have changed our plans a bit. Maybe if I could divert them north, the further I can get them north, the closer Beorn and his crew will be. If you can even warn Beorn and get his group to come south, and I delay them and we go north enough, and I could actually maybe use this as actually, in hindsight, even if Farron escapes, we could potentially say we overcame you. And as Jeff turns around and he overhears that, Jeff does not look like he's very pleased with that as an idea. That the four of those go back to the bandit camp, having him just like extricated Oderic. But
yeah, because Jeff's burnt bridges.
Yeah, we could.
Oderic's now 180ing back into camp with these guys saying, "Ha ha! We've triple crossed the triple crossers."
Because Farron, if you recollected, Farron only you don't know whether he overheard what he was viewing.
He may have just seen an encounter,
and he saw a sword point. Like you all had weapons out, and there was the bandits there and Oderic, and you were talking to them, but he probably didn't overhear what was being said. He was like 100 feet plus.
And we were concealed, weren't we? We weren't like waiting openly and he walked into our clearing. We were concealed and sort of appeared to these guys, didn't we? And so Farron may have just seen.
I mean, Oderic's offered it, and I would say Jeff is less keen. It could, I guess the story you could concoct is I was the only one that made it back alive. The others died. If Jeff really doesn't fancy it.
Jeff
is firmly wedded to a lot of gold from King Bard at the end of this. So so that could be an option. I mean, if you can think of something fairly compelling lie that Oderic could get back to camp shortly after Farron, like half an hour later, that might work. But it's okay. big if, and also do you trust Oderic enough to do that as well? So,
I mean, speaking for myself, I trust him in terms of I think he genuinely wants to do that. I have a sneaky suspicion he wants to make some heroic gesture that's going to leave him dead but well remembered. I'm not saying that out loud to him, but my worry is that he will throw away his life.
Is it because, Oderic, is it because you think you're quick, you can catch your man? Because I think
I'm
another...
quick, but I want to do the right thing. I was angry with Rathvik and Brunhild. To be honest, took my wrath out and anger on him when he was drunk, and I've regretted it every day. And I think fell in with the wrong group. They gave me comfort, but they're not good.
Not your true friends. Not your true friends.
Well, I have an alternative plan you might be able to do now. You could, if you're quick on your feet, Brother Hathis here could write you something to Beorn, and you could go as fast as you can up to the Carrick, take the message to them to try and bring them south. And this is where Mntns' eyes start to gleam with a little suicidal. And I tell you what we could do. We could wait for them to all the bandits to leave their place, and we could circle back and torch it and bring them right back. And then we could keep them there, and then maybe make a final stand.
Okay, you're now more sort of suicidal than Oderic.
Some kind of suicide off, isn't it?
I just think it forced them to come back south to try and preserve their own place, and might give them enough time to come south. Obviously, we probably all die, but we're all gonna die sometimes, I always say.
All good ideas.
Why don't we just do what we were supposed to do? Take Oderic back to Beorn and let him decide.
The worry is that it'll take us, let's say, 5 days, and I don't know the number, to get up to Carrick. And maybe the bandits that Oderic's been talking to might attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little Beorn settlements that maybe Oderic's told them about, and there'll be plenty of loss of life and bother, but maybe not.
Bother.
It's a good word, bother. But yes, we're good soldiers. Do we obey orders, which is bring him back to the boss man, let the boss man make the big decisions? Rather
We
than
are soldiers, though.
Metaphorically speaking, we're all soldiers in the battle of good versus evil now.
Having seen the bandit camp, even taking on a small contingent of them is probably beyond us. We've got a bit of a lead because Man's going back.
Yep.
If they want to suddenly push forward their plans and launch their attack, even that's going to take them half a day to get everybody ready. So we've got quite a bit of lead. We can just warn the settlements on the way back.
Yeah, I think if we go to Stonyford and get them to each scatter to tell another settlement, so they just radiate out, tell another settlement, send everyone north.
Aye.
Kind of thing.
I like Mntns' plan. I want to go and see you torch
their camp and die horribly.
Yeah,
he's got to die sometime.
Once he hears Sigmar's description, maybe he realizes it's probably even just a waste of his life.
No, you've convinced me.
I think 3 of you are doomed to die, so it's perfect plan for all 3 of you.
The other 3, I'm not. I'm not doomed to die. I've got to live forever or die trying. So.
All right, so you're basically going to head back to Stonyford. Hope you convince them all to scatter and warn people. Yeah.
There's more experienced brains than ours in Stonyford as well.
All right, so your guide, which I think is you, Hathis. I just need.
We get horribly lost. Go round and around this large clump of bushes for 3 days.
Yeah,
the west was lost.
You finally get back to Stonyford, and that and every village settlement north up to the Upper Vales is like smoking hulks.
They must have overtaken us. I don't understand it.
Okay,
right,
give me.
What am I rolling, John?
Give me a. What did it say? Hang on a second.
Survival.
Am I trying to get to the Coracle first, and then across, and then Stonyford?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's do it proper. It's about 50 miles to Stonyford and about 120 to Beorn's. So you're going to Stonyford first.
Yeah, via the little boat that we left tethered, moored, etc. Because we are honour bound to return that as well, aren't we? Because someone lost a boat. But yeah, we're going to get across the river in a boat.
Yeah. Okay. So you have an option to take a forced march if you want. Now, to do that, you can basically walk for probably 16, 18 hours a day, but it's very draining.
I think
But you could get there in half the time.
There's lives at stake, aren't there? And including our lives at stake, so we probably would do that, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, for a forced march, you'd probably be back to Stonyford in about
lunchtime.
2 days, and then it will be only about another 2 to 3 days up there to Beorn's house. It's easier going on the east side of the Anduin than it is on the west side, so it's faster.
We might be able to secure some riding resources as well.
Like spurs and things.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if we try and force march to the boat at least to get across the river and then up to Stonyford.
What was you with the ponies?
Where are they at the moment? Are they with us?
I think they're at Stonyford. Because you took a boat straight over the river.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
You can clearly pick them up from Stonyford, which will help you.
Okay,
so give me a journey roll 1 sec.
Have we got any advantages? We were fairly boosted up with advantage on every roll and +1 or something on our arrival roll when we finally got there from about 2 sessions ago, John.
Yeah.
Have they gone?
No, is it the same day? It was one for 1 day. Oh, no, it wasn't actually. It was for this part of the trip. No, yeah, I think you do. So give me a D12 embarkation roll. So this is add your proficiency bonus and half your wisdom bonus.
Oh, God.
And then subtract 2 from that.
So hang on. So proficiency bonus. Where the hell do I find that first?
So that's your
proficiency
survival proficiency bonus.
Survival, I am +6.
Oh no, sorry, it's just proficiency bonus. I apologize.
That's +2.
Plus half your wisdom bonus.
My wisdom bonus is +4, so half of that is +2.
And then take away 2 for the peril rating, which is +2 in total. So D12 +2.
Which was a D12, I reckon it's this. If I do +2 and that's an 8, that's a 10, that's a 12. Whee! 6 + 2 is 8.
Okay, good job. Okay, so it's fine weather for the. So as you set off, the sleets and snows begin to abate. Actually, make some really quite good time, and you're feeling much more buoyed about the journey ahead. You're finding you're going quite easy, and it's better than you were fearing. If you're taking a forced march to get back to Stonyford, or at least to the Coracle tonight, which you can do, everyone needs to give me a Constitution saving throw to keep that grueling pace up all day.
Open or tower?
You can do it in the open because you all know it's going to be hard, but it's DC 15. Monin's not showing his true dwarven nature.
We're all going to die. Constitution.
Everyone's looking absolutely knackered.
Your house is nearly there. Come on, you.
Okay, so
all cacked out.
Everyone takes. So you do manage to keep going for that grueling time, but everyone takes a level of exhaustion by the time you get to the Coracle. Right. So I won't bother giving you an effect, but basically you've got 1 level of exhaustion, each of you. So just check exactly the rules for that. I think it just means you get penalties to checks. Okay, so yeah, just disadvantage on ability checks. But you get disadvantage on ability checks because you're so tired. But you are back at the Coracle. You're back at the Coracle, and you push across the Anduin, get swept a little bit downstream, and you'll be back in Stonyford. You need to camp, but you'll be back in Stonyford by tomorrow late morning, kind of early afternoon.
Sounds good.
Yep.
So overnight, assuming you find a sheltered area, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's more sheltered that side of the Anduin. If everyone else makes you won't add to your exhaustion, but if you make a Constitution check by the morning, it'll get rid of 1 level of exhaustion if you have basically a good night's sleep. So everyone else give me a DC 15 Constitution check. See if some people can make it this time.
So it's a Constitution save.
Yeah, another Constitution save. Sorry, not a check. Yeah.
No.
So Sigma
and
Amalfrida, you wake up feeling really invigorated, so you don't have any exhaustion. However, Hathel and Monin didn't sleep so well, and you're pretty weary in the morning. Are you trying to push on double time for the first half of the day? Otherwise, it'll be probably late afternoon by the time you get there.
I think so. I think it's imperative.
Yep, I'm with that as well.
Okay, give me another DC 15 check.
Are we minuses? Are we any minuses on this, John? Because like at disadvantage because of the exhaustion.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah, we should have.
I think basically exhaustion level 3, you get disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. So this is a save.
Yeah, this is a save, so it's only ability checks.
Ability checks. Okay. Oh, Amalfrida just fumbled.
God's sake, I'm really shit.
He's a. Oh my god!
Really,
1, 2, 4, 2.
You had a real fat summer.
Stumble into the river.
I think we made the decision to wade up the Anduin.
Swim. We're swimming, John. Swimming in the middle. It's safer.
You all have. Sorry, 2 of you have level 2 exhaustion by the time you arrive. The other 2 just have level 1 exhaustion again. But by the time you're really dragging, so Monin and Monin and Hathis, by the time you get there, are almost like wandering deliriously, and a couple of the bandits are as well. And as you drag yourself into, you're almost like your teeth are chattering. You just haven't got enough calories in. You've been really pushing yourselves, and you kind of stagger back into Stonyford around lunchtime.
Okay, I'm going to say to the others before we get to Stonyford, this isn't about Oderic and what he's done, so don't let Stonyford erupt into, oh my god, the murderer's back, or all this stuff. It's about the potential threat to Stonyford from the bandits, etc. Just a sort of reminder for when we get to Stonyford.
Okay.
Add a nail. When we get there, I need some ale.
More beer. I must have more beer.
All right. You come into the outskirts of Stonyford. It's fairly familiar to you now. Where are you heading when you get there?
I don't know. I think we'll just clap
to the tavern straight.
There was that lady, wasn't there, who was the kind of was she the unofficial sort of town leader or homestead leader? Who's lady's
Ava? Yeah,
could well be. I think she's probably the most sensible person to talk to.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 fairly knackered. 4 including Oderic, or 3 plus Oderic knackered bandits in tow. What are you going to do with them?
Well, we're not going to call them bandits.
They haven't got a concept of a bandit force out there, have they? They might think they're.
No, they. I mean, there's rumours that there are bandits in the Wolfswood, but they don't.
Yes, they're not going to say, "Oh my god, they're in bandit uniform. They're the bandits everyone run," are they? But do we want to bring these guys into the middle of town, or do we want them to stay out of sight?
Well, we only had them with us because we kind of had to, and they are bandits. We could just hand them in. They're tagging along because they think they're going to get a reward.
God, Sigma, the triple crosser.
I don't care about them. They're bandits.
Yeah, but the other point is, if we leave them by themselves in Stonyford, I don't know if they've got the right kind of people to be able to protect against them. I suppose there's how many is there of the bandits? 5 or 3?
There's 3 in Oderic, aren't there?
3 plus Oderic, yeah. I mean, you could tell them to. You could assuming they can read or can't read, you could actually write a note. Sorry, this is me thinking, and then tell them to get themselves to let him sort it out.
Up to Beorn. King Bard. Dear Bard, you owe these guys 30 gold honest, signed Hathis and Co.
Aren't we the ones who want to go up north? Because
we need Carrick with us. We need Oderic with us. We don't want to lose Oderic, do we? So my gut feel would be keep him with us and just don't let it descend into...
Yeah, just stay, catch our breaths, and then head north again.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, so unless you've got ponies to sit on, 2 of you are too tired to walk at more than half pace.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we have some ponies here, you say?
Yeah. No, you will actually be sleeping in a warm... Well, assuming they let you sleep in a warm house, but in a much warmer environment, so that'll give you advantage on your constitution checks.
How big Stonyford is there some kind of authority here? Sort of jails and soldiers and that kind of thing? Or...
No, not well. There are basically some of the burlier farmers and fishermen fairly well weapon trained, as many Beornings are, but only because it's fairly wild in the hills. So, but no, I mean, there's no militia here.
No
So
palisade.
It's not a good place to try and
No.
bandits either, is it?
No, I think they should just flee for the surrounding stone homesteads and get everyone to head north. They probably won't want to do that, but we don't really have time to do a massive persuasion job on everyone.
All right. Well, so Sam, Chaz, and Jeff all got their kind of heads down, trying to be insignificant, and they're kind of just walking along behind you. Oderic he looks really conflicted. At one level is kind of, wow, this is his home, but then it's
how long
what the hell are they going to do to me here? So he's kind of keeping his head down as you're coming up to the village. So I'll leave it over to you. So
yeah, I think we should stick close to Oderic, because we told all these people we were going to find Oderic to take him to Beorn. So there's a bit of authority there in terms of, look, we've got him, we're heading north to Beorn, he's with us, let us do our jobs kind of thing. And they already know that.
So where are you heading when you get to the village?
We need to let this Ada woman know, don't we, that there's a potential bandit threat.
Yeah.
So as you come into the village, you see what looks like Helmgut. He's kind of walking down to the river. He's got an empty bucket in his hand.
Uh-oh.
And he looks over at you, and then his eyes widen.
Yeah, because he'll see Oderic. So Oderic was what, his foster son or stepson or foster son, wasn't it?
And Oderic's he looks in real pain as he sees Helmgut again.
Mm-hmm.
What? Helmgut says, and he kind of turns towards you and starts walking towards where you guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Mntns gonna take out his warhammer, start walking towards him. Hey, you big fucker! I think we're on Beord's business. Say the fuck we are. I'll use intimidation because I get advantage on that.
Okay, give me a check.
Is this affected by your 2 levels of exhaustion?
No. Oh, hang on, it's a skill check. Yeah, unfortunately, that cancels it out. But you still got it at regular intimidation.
Okay.
You've almost like struggled to keep your warhammer up in 2 hands as you walked out, and he kind of backs off a bit, puts his hands up, drops his bucket, and says, "All right, and he's like slurring his words a bit. I just don't want you to bring that fucker back in here. Look, you kill Rafik. When you take him to Beorn?"
Yes, we said we were, and that's what we're doing. You didn't want to help us on the way out. You can stay out of our way on the way back.
Might want to get some stuff together, though.
He shouldn't be in Stonyford. He's a murdering bastard.
Well, neither should you, for that matter. But you better speak to Ava, because you got some bad news coming for your place. But I'll leave the rest of the more eloquent amongst my companionship to tell you that.
Okay.
Keep heading for
he picks up his bucket, doesn't go back down to the river, and kind of heads away from the river to some outlying farmsteads. Look at you, and you know who lives there, but he's looked like he's going to talk to some people there.
Fine, but there's probably won't even believe him anyway because he's a pissed up, useless bastard. Right, let's head and find Ava. We got bigger things to do.
All right. As you get into the centre of the village, Ava is basically at the well in the village with a few folk just talking as you come in. Williford's there as well, who's the more burly sort of fightery type, and he notices you first and says, and then alerts Ava to it, and Ava turns and starts walking towards you. She's got a fairly inscrutable look on her face.
Yeah. We say to her, my lady, we need to speak to you urgently in private, if that's possible, please.
All right, bring him with you.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these fellas? He points to the bandits.
We'll explain everything, but time's of the essence.
All right, she nods. Come with me, and she heads to her house. Opens the door. It's incredibly relaxing there. It's warm, soporific. You're suddenly feeling far like walking through the door.
Beer on the table, and
you're not cold anymore. She's got some half a loaf of bread on the table while she gets out, and then she looks at you, and you look like wet and cold and miserable, and you're all kind of teeth are chattering, particularly Monin and and you come in. She closes the door and sits down. She pulls some water and brings some bread over and stuff, and you start tucking in. Why do you need to talk to me so urgently?
We found out about a large bandit base in the Wolfwoods. In the Wolfwoods, and we believe they are imminently planning to attack the Beorning settlements, very much including yours. That's where we found Oderic. We're taking Oderic back to Beorn, but we are very worried that they will be leaving their base and striking north with evil in their hearts very soon indeed. We've come as fast as we can. We're near exhaustion, but we need to keep going. This isn't about Oderic and what he did or didn't do. Let Beorn sort this out. This is about, genuine fear and worry for everyone's lives in this area.
How do you know there was a lot of bandits? There's quite a few of us up here. Bandits don't really threaten us and never have done.
Well, there's a lot of them, and they're planning to come this way.
Did you talk to them? You look around, and Jeff, Sam, and Chaz are kind of looking down on the floor, shuffling.
I spied their camp. I heard their plans. This is a warning.
As Sigmar says here, it's a warning. Believe us or don't believe us, we've done our bit. We told you that there's people coming. You as head person, you can either decide to stay here. Maybe they won't come here. Maybe they will. Either way, we've done our job. We need to get further north now.
Oderic, from what you've heard, what do you think?
Oderic, the first time he kind of looks up and he meets Ava's eyes, and he looks quite almost like defiant and proud, and he says, well, they tell us the truth. The bandit leader's name is Valter the Bloody, and he said, I feel ashamed, but they made me feel welcome, and I told him about a lot of the settlements up and down the Anduin here, Beorning settlements, so he knows where Stonyford is. He knows some of the other settlements up the river, and his plans were imminent to come up here. He's calling himself a king. This is a very serious threat. And he said, then he's like, looks pretty shameful, and he says, look, I'm really sorry. I wasn't thinking about my people at all. And at that, she kind of looks at him and says, and he's a few seconds pause and says, well, that's a brave thing to say, Oderic, given the position you're in. And so give me a final kind of audience check, Hathors, as you were doing most of the talking.
Okay, yep. What do I need to do?
So this is so if other people want to help him, that will cancel out his, and so I guess
knackeredness.
his knackeredness, and they can't string a sentence together.
And a mouthful of bread, yep.
So just give me a standard persuasion check in the tower.
Okay. And didn't you say that after our meeting with Beorn, we were considered friendly, beloved?
Yeah, friendly for Beorn.
So persuasion in the tower,
yeah.
An assistance role in the tower or not in the tower?
Yeah, in the tower. So, Hathors, you start talking and then end up kind of mumbling, but Sigmar seamlessly takes over the conversation.
Good man.
It's almost polarized opposite roles you got there. Takes up the conversation, and she nods at the end of it and says, all right, I don't think I can persuade Stonyford to move. We can't move people lock, stock, but I can send warning to the nearby settlements with some riders. Are you going to be able to help us if this is as imminent a threat as you're saying?
I don't think we'll be able to stop the bandits themselves. From the sound of the numbers and the equipment levels, I think we'll be very much outmatched. Again, I'll look at Oderic because he's much more of a tactical fighter person that's been inside the base and heard the plans compared to
Oderic said there's more than 100 outlaws in Valter's camp, and more are dribbling in occasionally. And I know Stonyford's tiny, so this is a real threat to you guys.
You think he'd send all of them?
That's his plan. His plan is to create a kingdom, and he needs land for that.
Well, yes.
I think he's planning to recruit, i.e. threaten people either to join or be killed on the way up. Ava says, all right, I'll bring it to the townspeople. I can see this is a suitable size threat, so we need to get these people together immediately.
Yeah.
And she heads out. She goes to the bigger meeting hall that you were in before, and after about a minute or two, you hear this sort of clear bell being rung, from that building. So someone's holding a very big bell and hitting it with a beater, and it's resonating over the valley. And you see Beornings coming in from the river, coming out of the hills or out of the farmsteads around. And after about 30, 40 minutes, the town square and the area right in front of that hall are sort of buzzing with conversation. And
but are we hanging around that long? Are we hanging around for 30, 40 minutes to watch this, or are we getting some sleep, or are we cracking on to the next people?
So two of you are knackered. So to be able to kind of keep moving even, really, you'd need to be sitting on ponies.
Yeah. How many ponies did we have here?
I think you only had the one, didn't you? You only had, unless you got another one from Beorn. Generally, don't remember, I'm afraid.
We did have two at some point, but I can't remember how we ended up having two at some point. Oh, was it because we got them off the when we rescued the halfling or something? Did we have two and then meant to give them back one of them?
Oh yeah, that's right. Didn't you? There was a pony train which included his stuff that you tagged on with. I seem to remember. I think you've just got your single horse, your single pony.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it up to you. So talk amongst yourselves about whether you want to stay or push on immediately. And if you want to stay, you need an overnight sleep to try and regain some of your exhaustion back.
And what time is it now? Is it sort of lunchtime or early morning, or?
It's around lunchtime, yeah. So that was welcome food.
Well, Monan's keen on sleep. In fact, he starts to nod off as everybody's talking anyway, so he's sort of out of it a bit.
It's probably best, isn't it?
In which case, we'll get our best recovery in the warm comfort, won't we? The problem then is we might be raring to go and it's pitch black outside until morning.
The prospect of going out back into the cold again when you've been like drowsily having a nice lunch and warming your bones in front of the fire here is not a good prospect. So.
Yeah, Monan's like, we've done the hard bit, got across, got away.
we get up in the morning, the town is deserted, and there's 100 bandits coming over the hill.
as he sups a little bit of ale, we could defend this place for a little bit longer.
So guys, I got the rules slightly wrong for exhaustion. If you have a long rest, it removes. You don't need to make a roll. So actually, you're all just on one level of exhaustion. Some of you aren't on two. Okay. So you could push on what I'm saying now if you wanted, without really too much. Well, your saves are not great, but sorry, your checks aren't great. If you wanted to do a better job, potentially avoiding hazards and stuff the next day or two, you may want to have a rest.
I vote push on.
I think we should push on. We need to let Beorn know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've already made your rolls. You only have to roll once a day. So you've made your exhaustion check rolls. Begrudgingly, Monin takes a fond look at the fire as you start packing your packs again, and then decides to head out. And you're not interested in listening to what she says to the villagers?
Interested, but I think time is of the essence.
All right.
There's bigger fish to fry.
So she sort of curtly says, "Thank you for the warning. I'll take it to the village, and it'll be a joint decision for what they do. But I'll at least advise that we send warning to other settlements nearby."
Brilliant.
All right. Farewell. And she sees you just go pick the pony up from where it was being looked after, and then with a fond look back at the smoke coming out of the chimneys from Stonyford, you start heading north again. And you can visibly see Oderic and the three outlaws are looking relieved at leaving the settlement. And after about an hour and further north, the outlaw Jeff says, "So, Athos, can we? I think we should be maybe heading off towards the old forest road and then up to Dale. Maybe go and see Bard. What can we tell him? Can you use them fancy words and write something for us?" And they're looking pretty uncomfortable at the prospect of going up to see Beorn with his reputation, having been part of a bandit group that is now being confirmed about to attack him. So
I'm happy to. Well, we'll talk about it at mealtime. We're not going to stop now, but I'm happy to write some words, fancy ones at that. I've got some good ones stored up.
I can make it look very official as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind.
All
doing
right,
that.
so you push on. You probably make it halfway up to the old forest road.
Can we take it in turns? Like, say, if Monin's completely knackered, can we stick Monin on the pony for half the morning or something, and at least use the pony as a resource rather than we all walk next to this pony that thinks this is fun.
Now that makes
Sure.
perfect sense, but Mona's like, no, I'm not getting on that. I'll be fine.
Okay, well, in which case, Hathors will sit up there.
And when the young bandits mentioned about the Old Forest Road, Mona will be like, well, I'm not sure that's a good road to take. I think Sigmar's been down there once before. I don't think you go back there again.
Yeah, like the gleam thought of gold appears in his eyes. He says, you might be right, but it's definitely the quickest way back up to see him.
All right, fine. You take that way then. Should be fine. He thinks he's done his bit. Light a fire every night. Make as much noise as possible.
And as we're going along, Hathors will keep saying to people, Amalfida, do you want to spell on the pony? Sigmar, do you want to spell on the pony? So he's not just hogging it.
All right.
Okay.
Obviously, he'll make sure everyone looks busy when he asks them, so they say, no, I'm doing this, and they'll carry on. But
Okay, so towards the evening, you find a spot to camp. So let me know what you'd want to write if you are going ahead with their plans and letting them go. You do think that the lure of gold is strong enough to get him to go to Bard. You don't know whether he can read. By the sound of things, he probably can't, but you don't know whether the people can read. So, but I guess you've got seal and things. You could seal the note anyway. So
I'll probably consult closeted away with Sigmar as to what we'll write, because it was kind of his deception. But I'm happy to write it in very nice handwriting and add some flowery vocalization in there as well. I guess it's these ex-bandits or reformed in speech marks bandits from the Wolfswood feel they have a valid claim to 300 gold or 30 gold for assisting us in releasing the traitorous Oderic from the bandit king Valtar.
yeah, I guess I'm getting warning about Valter's plans and stuff.
Yeah.
So. All right, so you are literally you're resolute.
So hopefully,
trying
an
to...
intelligent person reading between the lines would read it as these are ex-bandits who.
No, these are not ex-bandits. These are bandits.
These are bandits.
Okay, these are bandits from whatever who think they've got a claim to 30 gold for doing this. But our heart is obviously not in it in terms of that you definitely owe them. No way.
All right, so that's great. I mean, I won't do it now, but just drop like a paragraph in the notes pages on World Anvil or Obsidian Portal. I haven't quite decided whether I've got over to World Anvil yet, but so we can kind of, that might come into play at some point in the future, depending on how effective the note was. So you don't need to do it now, though. And you camp overnight. By the morning, you're about there now. By the morning, your exhaustion has resolved, and you actually feel cold and wet, but you're doing okay.
Cool. And
you've got 2 days probably normal walk, or 1 day force march again to get to Beorn's from where you are.
I'd take the 1 day force march, I'm afraid. If it's only a day to Beorn.
If it shows that we came with full haste, then it'd probably look good for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's his people. I know what he'd want us to do, so yes.
So even Sigmar's looking like he fancies a bath and a warm bed, and he's normally fairly grubby, but the rest of you are like not having a good time of this walking. So give me a DC 15 con save. It's 3 for 3. God.
12. I'm getting better.
Sigmar's whistling almost in enjoyment at the walk now. He's found some leg strength. The rest of you there have got 1 level of exhaustion. As you close you're closing in on the old ford, and as you're beginning to get a bit wearier, you're the guide, Hathors, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to give me an event survival check, which is 14.
14.
Yeah. You've been on this journey before, so that's -1, and you don't get any modifiers from your event rolls. So you've got a DC 13 survival check.
Tower or open?
If you want to see it, do it in the open, that's fine. Just see if you get a...
Yep.
You're fine. Okay, so you push through past the old ford, and very, very wearily towards very early sort of early to mid-evening, probably about 9 p.m. equivalent. You stagger exhaustedly, apart from Sigmar, who seems to have hogged the pony more than others. You get up to Beorn's house. You don't have the
Jeff, Chaz, and Daz.
And you are successfully made it to Beorn's. So you're going straight to his house?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So you go up to the door. The smell of like stew and fresh bread and stuff is amazing as you walk up. Over to you. Nice bit of role playing there. Have inspiration. No, don't really.
That was easy.
So if you remember Beorn's housekeeper, she kind of bustles up to the door, opens it, and says, eyes light up. Come on in. How did it go? And she looks at Oderic. Is this the fella?
We must speak to your master, Beorn, as soon as possible, please. There's much danger.
She looks a bit crestfallen that she wasn't going to be the first source of the gossip around Beorn's and then says, all right. And she's like, takes you through into this big open dining area where you sat before. And literally minutes later, Beorn, a little out of breath by the sound of things, he's run here, comes in through the door and comes up to the table looking really sternly at Oderic. You brought him back. Well done.
There is a bigger tale, I'm afraid to say. And Oderic can probably tell it best. But there is a king, in inverted commas, in the Wolfswood who is threatening to attack your people imminently.
Okay. From where? So he asked a lot of, well, yeah, from where is this attack? And how many numbers?
They have about 100 spares, and I'll look to Oderic for him to nod or engage in the conversation a bit at this point. 100 spares, and they have a well-kitted out fort in the Wolfwoods, and they are all too aware of the poorly defended numerous settlements of your people.
Yeah, so Oderic nods and he kind of lifts his eyes up again. It's hard for him to do, and he meets Beorn, who's anyone who can meet Beorn's gaze is pretty brave. Right. He's massive and very imposing when he's looking at angry like this, and he says, Lord, I want to confess what I did and doing my level best now to make amends, but it was like sorrow crosses his eyes again. I informed Valter the Bloody, he's this leader of these bandits, because he treated me very well about Beorning settlements up and down the Anduin between the Carrick and Stonyford, and he's making imminent plans to attack. He's actually looking to build a kingdom. He's over 100 spears that he can bring forth, and his plans were pretty far-reaching. I think he's going to be attacking very soon. And Beorn, just livid at that, says, these outlaws are a danger to me and my folk. They must be driven from Wilderland. Then he nods and he says, tonight you all shall sleep in my hall. Oderic, I'm going to deal with you later. For tomorrow we leave for battle at dawn. And everyone goes, what the fuck?
But first ale, right?
Master Dwarf, you can have as much mead as you like. And the housekeeper kind of comes in and, oh my God, the food she brings up is hot, like plates of salted meat. It's just beautiful, and some vegetable stew with it, lots of fresh bread and butter and honey for it. And your stomachs are rumbling and you're like chow straight into it. Oderic is taken. And he says, no, I beg you, I want to try and make amends in the coming battle. I promise to be at the mercy of you, Lord. If you let me fight, I will come back with you. I want to see what I can do to help. Beorn looks at him and says,
before you pass judgment there, Lord Beorn, if these dwarven words are any weight to you, this young lad, he could have ran, he could have fought us, but he listened to reason, and he has come here to face the music. So if there's any compassion, maybe give the lad a chance, maybe to earn his name again, or die trying.
Yeah, he didn't need to do any of this. He nods. He makes the decision very quickly. Okay, you'll be joining us in the forthcoming battle. Do you have any idea where their first point of attack would be? He says to Oderic, and Oderic Says, I really don't. I mean, they were basically planning to head north. Could be Stonyford, could be further up there. I just don't know. Beorn says, leave it with me. I'm going to get warning to as many settlements as I can tonight. You kind of, knowing how far that was, you raise your eyebrows at that, but then you don't know Beorn too well yet. So he says, right, within 30 minutes, there's massive load of people all doing a very sort of well-oiled tasks around the settlement. You can see horses are being mustered. Senior-looking Beornings are getting weapons and stuff together, discussing plans, all that kind of stuff. You are finally full up and a bit warmer, feeling a lot better. And he basically says, I'm going to leave now. This is Bralin. Bralin is a trusted lieutenant of mine. He will be planning the assault. I'm going to get warnings personally to as many people as I can. And he said basically he looks like he's going off himself, and there's about six horsemen on the most unbelievable like destriers you've ever seen that are all ride out, thunder out of the gates at very high speed. Look at all going in slightly different directions, but it looks like they've planned on who to tell them and when, and they're riding full speed south to get much of a warning. So it's basically mirrored roughly your plan, except he's obviously got a lot more credibility is coming from Beorn. And he said, trust me, I will be there as and when battle is joined. Okay, do you want to do anything else tonight?
I don't think so.
I think we've done our bit, to be honest. I can't see what we can do.
Okay. So the one slight advantage you've got. Oh, sorry. I'll let you. You don't know where there's going to be an attack. Have a look at the map, and because you're going to need to kind of guess this a little bit, where you might be able to do battle with these folk with a lot of Beornings in tow. Have a chat about it and think kind of where that's most likely, because I'm not going to give you any clue.
I wasn't thinking that we were doing the battling bit. I thought we'd notified the entire Beorning race of an impending peril, and we're now cozy and being fed as we should be. I was expecting to hear reports as they come in of famous victories and joining the celebrations with gusto at the end.
Abelfreda, how do you feel about that as a plan?
No.
Genius.
Abelfreda's going to go off and fight.
Yeah, a couple of
go off and fight.
Couple of beers in from Moan, and he's like, no, we'll be out there fighting. Need to be fighting. But I'm thinking about it. 100 people can't really go across in boats, so probably the old ford is where they're trying to get across.
They're going to head north and cross at the ford, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a couple of settlements on the west. You wouldn't be able to get there in time. Beyond, well, you don't know how fast he is or how far away the bandits are, but he might be able to. You just don't know. But yeah, so the majority of on the east of the bank, and obviously Stonyford's east, so that's relatively safe until maybe they go back down south. You don't know where they're going from the ford, but that sounds a good plan to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Defend the ford.
So yeah, so you speak with Beryl once. It's quite late at night by the time he's done a lot of organising. You'll kind of, especially Monin, who's had like onto his 5th pint of mead by now, is feeling pretty weary and like dozing in front of the fire in the hall. It's incredibly relaxing in there.
John, what time of year is it?
It's on the cusp of spring, but probably not quite there yet. There's been some unseasonably cold weather over the last few weeks.
So there's no crops, are there? So wherever this army's got to march, he's got to keep his army fed. So he can't just raid village to village to village. He's got to go for something fairly sizable just to keep his army in the field, surely. Unless he's got a load of food stores that he's bringing. And if he is, that means wagons and horses.
That's a really, really great point. Do you want to ask Oderic that? Oderic would know, or the bandits aren't with you anymore, but Oderic would know that.
Yes, or didn't Sigmar scout the place? Did he see any evidence of food supplies that they were taking with them? So we'd have seen wagons, presumably, if they're bringing food with them, but otherwise it's surely got to be a ford and then some sort of town rather than villages. Don't see that gains him anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. So Sigmar did see, he didn't have a lot of wagons, 2 or 3, but that's enough for probably, if they had food, enough for maybe 1 to 2 weeks in the field. in those wagons, assuming they're only taking the sort of able-bodied warriors, maybe 70, 80 people, and not the women and children, or the children and old men and women and stuff. And Oderic confirms that. He says, he was definitely collecting food. He's not a commander like Beorn is. He doesn't have that level of knowledge, but he kind of realized that this could be many days there. But you do know that even though it's at the end of winter and the new harvests and stuff haven't come in yet, most villages will, and even your own sort of Crofter's Vale area, by the end of the winter, you were kind of, the root cellars were pretty empty, but they were still eating meat from killing the odd sheep or cow occasionally for that, and that's probably where they get the food from. But it would definitely slow them, so you may have a little longer than you thought, but really good, really insightful.
And are there any major food supplies they could head for? So whether that is large herds or towns or villages with larger than average grain stores or larger than average food stores, is there anywhere that you'd strike for to try and keep yourself stocked up?
He doesn't have a big enough force. So the towns, like literally large population centres where they would have plenty, would be Woodman Town and Woodland Hall, and they are. You would guess his force is way too small to be.
Yeah, I assumed he was sort of carving on the west side of the Andrew more than anything. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the Beornings don't live in large settlements. I mean, Crofter's Vale is kind of typical from where Amalfrida grew up. They're fairly hardy, independent folk. The Beornings, they don't bunch together that much, which actually might help this campaign or whatever it may become. It might help limit the amount of carnage that he can cause, because he won't be able to attack like an undefended town very easily. There just aren't any.
I wonder what he's trying to achieve. Because basically, if he takes a few scattered settlements, and all he's really going to do is just arouse the Beornings to come and pummel him.
Yeah, you don't know. He's got a force, and so individually, he could take, I don't know, things like Amalfrida's father's farmstead and the little surrounding ones. If that's his kind of attritional plan, until the Beornings club together in force or get other help from elsewhere, he can go almost like settlement to settlement. And longer term plan, maybe it's just greed, or you don't really know.
If he takes a settlement, he's either got to hold it, or he sort of slash and burns, moves on, takes some slaves, captives, whatever, hostages, and some food, but then has to move on. So taking a settlement in itself isn't going to achieve an awful lot. Might get him some food for half a day for his men, and then he either has to hold it, which dilutes him, raise it and move on. Or was he achieving? Pretty empty space he's taking, unless he just strikes out, trashes a settlement, comes back to his base with hostages, people, and then quite quickly strikes out again. But then he'll just create a desolation around him like Smaug.
He wants territory.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty fertile. The Anduin Vales are pretty fertile. He could set up farmsteads there. He just wants to rule by the sound of things. Branch out from his...
He's going to come into opposition to Beorn and the Beornings quite quickly, and he's just going to make... Yeah. Man's crazy.
Very. Man's a nutter.
Might be treasures back at where his castle is, though.
What do we know about him as a person? Anything at all? I mean, what race is he?
You think probably a wild man, so he's from the wilderness, the woodman at some respect. But there are people beyond that from all over Wilderland that have kind of congregated under his banner. Probably because he doesn't really care too much about their backgrounds.
John, have you got a map you can show us with the ford or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna. So I'll show you that in a minute. You've been across the ford before. It's essentially a ferry across. It is walkable or wadable in the main, especially if it's low water running, where basically there would have been bridge pylons through it. So bits of it you can kind of hop from one to another. Not hop, but kind of get from one to another. The ferry is the most obvious crossing, though. So we'd need to capture that. But there could well be he could have basically taken boats as he's gone up the Anduin, all that kind of stuff. So you just don't know how he's going to be. or what the terrain exactly is going to be like. But you could probably get there and get an idea of the lie of the land.
Right, and how many men do we think he's got?
There's about over 100 people in the camp. You would estimate 70 to 80 that could be marshalled for fighting.
Right, so a couple of hundred men at most.
Absolutely, at most, probably 100,
okay.
we estimate.
Easy odds.
So, the Beornings are thirsting for blood, and Amalfrida's definitely past to that. They're really roused. I'll wind on to the morning unless you want to do anything else tonight. So at dawn, you'll be basically on the off. And you agree to kind of walk, assuming you're all heading out with in the morning.
Pardon?
You're all heading out with Amalfrida to the ford?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you get up with the dawn. None of you have got any more exhaustion on. Maybe it was the mead. Monin does appear to have a little bit of a headache this morning, but you heading south, no more than sort of 6 or 8 hours of marching. And it wasn't quite the forced march pace you were going, but this is now 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th day after you left the Wolfswood. You made incredible time. You are heading towards the old fort again, and you can see a large Beorning force there. And as you crest a rise, you can actually see looks like there is some kind of swirling battle up and down the river with men coming in from multiple boats crossing the ford here. Looks like the bandit force has they've got some boats with them. They've taken the ferry, whether by stealth or pulled it across or whatever. And there is a fairly sizable bandit force trying to be basically pushed back into the Anduin by a lot of Beornings. Hard to see who's winning. But on the bank next to you, just coming in off the river, and I'll share a map with you in a second, there's a boat full of bandits just making their way up to the to your edge of the river. They're going to be there in probably a minute, and if you ride fast down there, you could be there as well at that sort of time. So
how many of us are there? Is it literally just us, or do we have any Beornings with us beyond Amalfrida, obviously?
Plenty around, but they're all in little skirmishes themselves. So if you imagine there's probably 300-400 yards of riverbank that's being defended.
Right. So
it's
and
there's like pockets of Beornings that essentially heading to boats. It looks like there's no Beornings trying to head this boat off. Right. And that's where you are. So I'm gonna
cool. We got our own boat
map, and I'll now put the characters on. There's a lot of them. There's 8 bandits there. Oderic is also with you.
Oderic.
I will let you position yourselves a little bit. You're kind of coming down a gully to the bank. They're just winding up onto the bank now and pulling the boats up. And everyone give me initiative. You're in it now, boys.
We've been conscripted.
I knew this would be a great day. And that's where we'll leave this episode. Next episode, we'll have a big scrap with all those bandits. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for subscribing. All the ways you can get in contact with us are in the description. Thanks very much. Catch you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.